Football. Let's
We
go.
have a fight going on in San Francisco. It started to create such a conversation between Dude with a Beard and myself that we've got to try to settle the debate. Who are you taking? Or is the 49ers going to go with Trey Lance with the Dude with a Beard? Or are they going to stick with Brock Purdy like I'm thinking they should probably do?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is clear cut. You stick with the guy who you wanted to be your guy. You drafted this man high for a reason. You drafted Brock Purdy last for a reason because he's
Mhm.
just the guy you picked up. Um, Trey Lance is the future of this franchise. He's the future quarterback out there. He's the guy that you wanted. He's a proven FCS champion. You know, he knows how to play at a high level. Walter Payton Award winner, Jerry Rice Award winner. Uh, I mean, all the collegiate accolades are there. Transitioning to the league, you know, it's been a transition. You had messy things happening in the front office. They weren't sure what they wanted to do in certain situations. So certain things are outside your control. But now that the dust is settling, it's all in. It's Trey Lance time. I know Brock Purdy came in and he won a few games, but like I said, with this team being that good, the roster being that good, hell, I could have went in and won some games. Like, what are we talking about? Anybody could. Jacoby Brissett probably could
Anybody.
have took them to the Super Bowl. Like if like uh, it
It's
it's,
funny
it's
you
built
say.
it's built for Trey Lance to succeed into this offense because of the team they built to put around him. They built this team to give it to Trey Lance and the way
It's
he can run the offense.
it's wild that you say anybody can get a win with this team
Hmm.
when both these quarterbacks have played this year with that team,
Uh huh.
and only one of them really has a loss between the two of them, and it's not Brock Purdy, it's Trey Lance.
What do you mean he has the loss? What are you talking about?
Trey Lance
Did
was
Brock Purdy win a Super Bowl?
no.
Okay, then. So what are you talking about?
Well, I mean, he left the game super early. Like he was 5-0 before just getting absolutely mollywopped because tight ends blocking and whatnot.
Fragile, young Brock. That's all
Fragile.
I'm
Look at
hearing.
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance.
Which,
Trey Lance was he got hurt because it was for one, it was a dirty play. Everybody know it, and for two, it was early on in the season, no gel to the team yet. All the stuff they're trying to work these things out. Brock Purdy came in to a situation that was already scorching hot, blazing on fire. They was already on a 7 game win streak before he took over.
right.
So it's hard for me to say that this man carried a team anywhere when really the team just told him don't fuck this up.
And he did it. And
He
and and,
did.
uh, and I'm
He,
not saying Brock.
he did.
I'm not saying Brock Purdy's out here Captain Save yo. You know what I'm saying? But what I am just saying is if you look, if I just kind of look at the eye test, and we've yet to see anything significant out of Trey Lance. He's been a project since he was drafted. There's a reason he was planned to be benched to develop, and he's never really gotten there. We haven't seen it. If what we don't have much of a sample size from either one of these guys, right? It's really 5 games versus 4. It's not a huge sample sizes,
My
but
thing is you can't you can't put front office turmoil on Trey Lance just because they was confused about what they was going to do with Jimmy G, and obviously from them wanting to trade Jimmy G for the last 2 years before they could finally get him out the door, they wanted Trey Lance to be the starter. So I mean, it wasn't more of a project situation. It was okay. We already paid this dude this money. Would we not get out of our investment? I mean, wouldn't
well,
that
I
make
mean,
sense?
well, you're talking about investment. Look what they gave up for Trey Lance to get there.
Right. So why do you think they would give up on him now for the last pick of the draft when he came into a hot situation?
Because last
You
pick of
don't
the
think they
draft.
learned from
The
this
last pick
Kaepernick
of the
Alex
draft.
Smith situation yet? Don't you think they learned their lesson?
I feel like this is kind of that lesson. Go with a secure guy. Uh, Purdy was out here with a 67% passing completion ratio, which might not sound impressive to you, but if you look at Trey Lance's, it was 54.9%. He didn't even break 55%.
Yeah, and
We're
that's
talking
that's been a lesser
12%
that's
more.
lesser games too. Right.
Well, it is
And he
lesser
played
games because
right. And he
he's
played
playing
more
less.
games and he could only get 12% ahead of a dude who ain't played since week 3.
Well, that's actually for his career. So we're even throwing the couple games he played in the year before. And it gives
Mix
you a
them up.
50.
Co-
And,
Mix
and
them
it's
up however
just
you want.
And if you look at the touchdown to interception ratio, it's 13-4, which is like a 3-1 touchdown to interception ratio for Purdy, right?
Uh-huh.
And you go to Trey Lance, it is 5-3. So you got 5 touchdowns in 4 games and 3 interceptions. I
Okay.
mean, that's not like blowing
Well,
anyone out the water.
well, yeah. Well,
He's doubling it.
let's look at this. Let's look at the teams that they were playing with. When Brock Purdy threw these touchdowns and his stuff, he was already playing with the well-oiled playoff machine who had just traded for Christian McCaffrey. When
True.
Trey Lance was playing, they weren't nearly doing that. Debo wasn't playing. The other dude, who was the other receiver? I can't remember. He wasn't playing. Like they were missing a lot of key pieces during his run. So
I
we can't evaluate off of that because the strength of the team was not the same.
So you really think the start of the season we're going to see Trey Young or
We're gonna
Trey
see
Lance?
Trey Lance because
So,
he's your third overall pick. You're not gonna move on from a guy just as quick just because the backup came in and did his job.
mm, he did his job real good,
That's why we
real,
pay you. Thank you.
real fantastic,
Like I said,
and it looked
hey, so if that's
statistically,
the
it
case,
just
go ahead.
statistically, it's just light years above what Trey Lance
It's
or
not
yeah,
like it's not like years. It's two different. It's two totally different situations. We have a guy who was drafted to replace the starter that was disgruntled and fought to keep his job, and so he didn't get to play a lot. And then we move into his second year when he's still in the same situation because of Jimmy G. Then he starts to play and he gets hurt. So what are these light years you talking about? Like the opportunity size isn't even the same as far as what he's got.
it isn't that far apart though.
What are you?
It is getting more similar than you're probably giving it credit to. And Trey is just, I'm afraid, man. I'm afraid that you spend all those first round picks. The problem is if you do start Brock and don't trade Trey before the start of the season, you've lost all the value in him, I believe.
Well, there's no point in even worrying about that because you're not going to trade the guy who's going to run your franchise. So this is what you do: you start Trey Lance and you keep Burt Purdy on the bench where he belongs. It's
Mm.
simple math.
And
So
what
I
do
guess
you do?
Chad Henne should have played the rest of the playoff run, and Pat shouldn't have played at all.
No, those are two different,
It's
completely
how is it?
levels
It's
of quarterback.
same
Because Chad
situation
Henne
though.
didn't have better
It's
numbers than
it's
Pat
the same
Mahomes.
shit. Yeah, he did. Passing the
No, he
ball that
didn't.
game. Yes, he
No,
did. That
no,
one
he did
drive.
not. No,
Okay,
he did not.
okay,
I mean, he
okay.
was
I
nice.
said
Don't get
okay.
don't get it twisted, but MV Pat is clearly the better quarterback. And what we've seen statistically, it's almost doubling out of production, and I just can't blame that on everything
It's not
else.
almost doubled. You're
It
hyping this.
is.
You're
There's
hyping it.
it's like 1,300 yards versus like just shy of 800 yards. And then you got like
Wait,
twice as many
what am I
touchdowns
hearing? Like what?
to interception ratio. It's just a better completion. It's like every statistical category you look at, it's going to tell you Brock Purdy's the better quarterback. If
No,
you
it's
just
gonna
put
say It's gonna say that he's played more than Trey Lance has. Because all that is a game number difference. That's it.
It's one
It's
game difference.
it's amount of time played. What do you? How are we not understanding this? Okay,
I understand you. I see
tell
what you're
me how many
saying.
games Trey Lance played this year. Do you even
Two,
know?
two.
Okay, right.
He was one and
And how
one.
many? Huh?
He was 1-1.
And how many games did he get to play last year with the, like I said, with the
Two,
whole, right?
1-1 again.
And so, are you saying that that's all for performance, or is that not front office situation?
I mean, we was just talking about how this front office is shooting pretty excellent out here, right?
I
Like,
said, okay, this is what you. I see what he's trying to do this for the sake of the argument, folk. But he knows literally exactly what I'm talking about right now, and I'm sure y'all do too. So y'all seeing the facts here. It doesn't make sense to compare a body of work from a guy who hasn't got as much opportunity to
he,
play
and
versus a
also
guy
he had,
who had to play because there was nobody else left. Like, what are we talking about?
and when there was nobody else left, he kind of looked like the
He
best out of
did.
the
He did.
three.
No, he didn't. Jimmy G was the best out of the three. The same dude
Mm,
who's been the best out of the three for the last few years.
mm, mm. I mean, he might.
All he do is go to the NFC Championship game more than Aaron Rodgers.
I mean,
More Super Bowl appearances in the last few years than Aaron Rodgers.
Purdy was looking pretty,
And
knocking on the door there.
Purdy was looking pretty normal once they played a team who knew how to play defense.
And you know, he got third in Rookie of the Year voting.
Who did?
Purdy,
That's cool.
third.
He didn't win it. Two is
No,
not a winner, and three nobody remembers. Thank you, Nelly. What does that
right.
mean?
well,
What does that mean?
that's why I mentioned it. So hopefully everyone remembers that he
No,
almost did okay.
they won't. They won't. They won't remember it. The only thing they'll remember about Brock Purdy is if somehow by some miracle he outplays Trey Lance and he gets to start. And then he'll start a few games and they realize they made a mistake and then he'll be right back to obscurity and they'll be right back to Trey Lance if it happens that way.
And I really feel like it's actually going to be kind of the exact opposite of what you had just said. I feel like you give Trey Lance a very short leash if you're going to go with Trey, and then
Why does he earn a short lease and Brock Purdy doesn't?
because the fans aren't going to sit here and let him get more than 4 games, 4 to 6 games, and then if he's not out here blowing it up like Purdy
Well,
was,
luckily we don't let the fans determine what happens on the field with the players.
we do
So
sometimes. We do occasionally. I remember when the Chiefs fans flew a banner above the Chiefs Stadium and we got Pioli fired. It was a
he was on his
glorious.
way out anyway because he was
He was.
terrible.
He was.
He
But
was terrible.
we made our voice aware.
No, now see if this was DC and you was talking about releasing the Snyder cut of the Justice League film, I'll be right there with you. It's the only time I ever seen social media make a billion dollar conglomerate fold. But I can guarantee you, John Lynch and them do not care if the fans is out there mad because Brock Purdy ain't playing. They do not care. They're gonna wait and see what their investment can do with the same time they gave a guy who they had no plans of even playing. That's what
They
I'm
didn't.
saying. In my mind, why don't you give the guy who you picked to be your guy the same chance that you gave him? Now that you know you got Jimmy G out the door.
Well, let me ask you this: when they drafted Tom Brady, how much starting time did you anticipate Tom Brady having?
Who, me? I was.
Anybody?
I didn't nobody care because
Belichick. Was Belichick?
Belich. I can't speak on Belichick because he probably playing for it. He's the greatest
Mm,
coach. It was
maybe.
probably a plan there. I don't know. Who's to say on that end? But like you told me earlier, that's a whole different stratosphere of quarterback. Brock Purdy didn't come in and win the fucking Super Bowl like Tom did.
No, he
So
didn't.
okay then. So
He
that's
gave
what I'm
up a
saying.
little show.
Well, I'm saying. So
We a little show to Tom Brady,
that's what I'm
but
saying.
it had Tom Brady esque feeling to it. A little whiff of Brady. You know.
I understand. I understand.
But
But
folks, yeah,
Drew
just let
Bledsoe
us.
was the man, and he was still the man after that until his body couldn't let him be the man no more.
And then this
Remind me of
magical
Doug
seventh
Flutie.
round draft pick that no one expected out of Michigan came the greatest of all time. This is how goats are
Well,
made.
some people
It's
knew it, but
exactly
you
what
remember if
Purdy's
you
looking
watched the
like.
30 for 30, some people knew, but everybody was impressed with the dude who they chose to start over him, the Russian dude who was just Tim Tebow before Tim Tebow, running everybody over and all that other jazz, and then get to the league
Right?
and be trash.
It happens. It happens quick.
It does. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying Brock Purdy trash. I'm not saying he's bad at all. I'm just saying he
Right.
doesn't deserve to be the starter next year.
Yeah, yeah. The
You
question.
give Trey Lance his fair shake is what I'm saying. He hasn't gotten
Yeah.
one yet.
And I would say that's the same for me with Trey. Is I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback or a bad option, and I think he would still demand good draft compensation back for him. And that's kind of my argument for it is you could really get another
If
first round draft pick,
you
a
do
late one
and
or a
see,
second.
and this is what you do. This is the perfect situation, like I like to say, like I told a person who I had the in-house conversation with. Just like Bill Belichick. Look, if y'all are so in love with Matt Castle because of what he did for this short little stint while Tom was out, then somebody go sign Matt Castle. Get Brock
Mm,
Purdy out of there if he's that hot. Go get you some draft picks and some compensation. Do what Belichick did. Don't get rid of the guy, like I said, who you picked to run your franchise just because the backup came in and did his job. Kansas City made that mistake. So many teams make that mistake. And then they'll go and get said guy that's hot. And then turns out he's not.
right.
And we
But
saw it firsthand.
you can also give up your guy Eli Manning and end up with a Philip Rivers. Next thing you know, one's winning Super Bowls and the other one's Philip Rivers.
I understand. I totally get it.
Right.
Ooh,
But fans, let us know. Write down any comments. We're excited for the votes. We had a very even one last week with Herbert and uh,
it was
Trevor
even.
Lawrence.
It
Yeah,
was
yeah, it
even.
came out even. I even got some Jags fans to comment that they would choose Herbert. So that
No
was kind of
way. They're not real
surprising.
Jags fans.
Yes, and
Ain't no way.
then of course we had the illiterate type that chose some other options, including Patrick Mahomes, which was an obvious
No brainer.
yeah, obvious guy. And then some weird ones where Dolphins fans picked Tua over both of them, and I was real confused at how they thought that was an option or that was a better pick.
I take Brock Purdy before I take Tua. Now we can get into that conversation. Give me
that's
Brock Purdy.
that's
What?
uh,
Oh, good
that's
night.
there might be a verses in that one too.
Good night,
Yeah, but
man.
let us know, folks. Tell us how you feel.
Right, because when Tua got his fair shake, you was all over it. So happy for it. Give Trey his. That's
We'll
all
see.
I'm saying. Shout out to my boy Frank. Frank, we need to talk to you soon, man. I need to know what you think about this, man. Our resident 49er. We need to know what you think, man. We
Yeah,
got to get it.
his vote will actually count for 10 votes as a, a resident uh, specialist of the 49ers. We're going to actually uh, kind of weigh his votes a little heavy in the Democratic